Hey, today I thought I'd do some God Eater 3. I finished the game off camera this morning before my kitty sitting shift, and boy, am I really glad I did not record it because the last boss is like a partially scripted fight, and you have to get an engage off the final boss, and I could not for the life of me figure out the trigger. It basically just ended up I was pretty much about to wipe, would have had to do the whole scripted thing again. I actually even recorded it before I stopped, and somehow triggered the engage, which basically just puts you into an automatic win state. You kind of just mash buttons and the boss ends, and the transitions to the ending. So you know me, I don't really play the end game of stuff if I don't like it. There's been plenty of games, I see the credits and I just consider myself to be done. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is probably the most recent game I've done that on. They have updated that game a lot since I stopped playing it, but the main issues have not been addressed, which is A, the frame rate, B, the load times. Actually, the load times have gotten worse in that game since I stopped because they've added like a new gauntlet mode, and people have like been saying it's like over half loading or more. So that's not really something I wanted to go back to. I know that they've tried to fix a lot of the complaints, but one of the other major things that was never fixed was the inventory management. I didn't really talk about this in my videos, but when you farm in that game, you spend an unhealthy amount of time deleting trash loops, and a lot of it is not interesting. So I haven't really encountered anything like that in this game. It has been very fun to play. You have to keep in mind, I also have both versions of this game. I have the Switch version and the PC version. I actually got the Switch version first, I think. I don't remember which one I got first, but I ended up getting both of them eventually. And I'm playing with the short blade on Switch, but since it's functionally the same game, the only thing that's really different between them is this one just looks nicer and runs at double the frame rate. I have not been recording that, so that's part of the reason why it took me so long to finish this as well. Also, as you know, last year was just absolutely crazy for games. It didn't matter what you were into, even if you were into like something even more niche than what I like visual novels or like walking sims or puzzle games and stuff. Like there is still a lot coming out. I just, as a content creator, did not have time to breathe. But this month in particular, there's just not really anything interesting going on. So I took it upon myself to finish it. So I'm in the Another Devil episode now, which is like the post game. I'm trying to get a lot of the blueprints, try to get some abandoned god arcs to +1 them and stuff like that. So I think I got a couple blueprints. Hmm. I also got a rank 6 short blade as well. That's the other weapon I've been using. It's gonna make me play hide and seek, try to find whoever I need to talk to. Always does this when I record this game. I mean, I tried Monster Hunter World, and you literally can't skip the cutscenes in that game at all, so it made me appreciate having to do this crap quite a bit more. It is annoying, but the hub world in this is very small. There's really only a couple places you can go, so it doesn't take too long to find whoever wants you to talk to, or the trigger to progress the story. One in here. I have no clue what it wants, but it won't let me fight. I think this is Soma from the first two games, but I didn't get far in those. I definitely rage quit them pretty quickly. The combat in this is way more up my alley. If you've not played the other two God Eater games, you know that they were basically dominated by the custom bullets. The custom bullets just completely like took over the game. Melee combat was not really optimal or practical to use at all. It wasn't even viable, I guess would be the word for it. Here it's like the opposite. The bullets take a secondary role in melee combat, which, you know, this channel, you know, it's not really surprising that I would do that. But it was a problem a lot of people had with the other games, Gardens Valley, Moving Way, or the action games. Not really having a lot of freedom to play the way you want. Spiders out of the way. Crazy here. definitely not good at this game. I don't really... I like the game, but I'm never going to get to the point where I can make guides for it. And obviously not many people play this. I mean, it's pretty much just a solo-friendly game, which I think is actually a good thing. I know Monster Hunter World just had an event that's ending, and apparently has like really good loot, and someone in Omega Evolution's chat brought up the point that he or she did not have time to, you know, no-life it and actually get the gear from it. Now it's gone. So, if you want a faster-paced hunting game, and you don't want to be bound to having to play with real people or friends or whatever, I can't recommend this game enough. I know one of the biggest complaints has been how easy the game is. Apparently they're kind of trying to fix that by just adding harder stuff later on, which I think is probably the way to do it. You know, it's really hard to get people to sit down and finish games in the first place now, especially with how much padding they often have these days. So I think it's actually kind of cool that I wouldn't call the campaign trivial. It definitely does step up in difficulty towards the end. You start fighting more Ash Origami, and they spam burst a lot. I was not even aware until literally like minutes after I beat the game that you can actually perfect guard or parry the Devour attacks, and it staggers them. So that's like opens up a whole new dimension of the depth to me. Also, you can also do it with the dive as well. Like when you're diving, you're actually counted as blocking for a while. So there's lots of depth to this game. I guess it's just not as deep as Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is not for everybody. But definitely don't get this if you want to, you know, have random people to play with. If you do intend on playing with actual people, I probably would only suggest it if they're like close friends that you can, you know, schedule your time with often. I don't think I can craft anything in here. So apparently elemental weapons actually have a lot more purpose towards the end of the game. I was actually totally fine playing without it. I was just using neutral element for almost the entire game. But apparently elemental stuff has more presence or usefulness later on, which is the part of the game I'm at right now. See if I have any rank 7s that I can work towards. I guess that's where this is where I'm going to start getting those. Alright, let's go ahead and make a little bit more progress here. I did not have the best day today. One of the first cats I started feeding when I first started taking care of them in the neighborhood, he had to get put down earlier this week, and I only just found out today. So that's been kind of crappy. Been feeling too great, but I have been having fun playing this, so it's actually been helping quite a bit. I just did a dive parry there. It's one of my first ones. Nice. This game doesn't have like the methodical pace or crazy content that Monster Hunter has, but it is very satisfying when you pull off a good fight, which is what any good hunting game should have. I just think they would have been better off if they, instead of doing free updates so much, that they had actually put out a paid expansion. I think the problem with this game is it's very similar to Dynasty Warriors 9, where you have, you know, all these like massive changes and people aren't coming back to them. And as anti-consumer as it can be to you know, release a sometimes it actually is nice to have the idea of the expansion because people actually know to come back. You know, if Monster Hunter had just dropped that expansion without charging for it, it probably wouldn't have gotten as many people interested. Obviously, the game would have been fine anyway, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Really not a fan of this boss. I don't know how to fight it effectively. I get annoyed with the tail whips and the endless big hitbox attacks. This one's almost dead. Tail whip is so obnoxious. It keeps doing it. Endless. I wish this game was like Tokiden. I liked how in Tokiden you could actually take off their parts and it changed the moveset. Here it doesn't really do much besides just ensure that you get the part from it. And you can do more damage to that part. But it's annoying how I can't just cut off the damn tail. Stop him from spamming those tail whips. Fighting two of these bastards is too much for me. There we go again, tail whip. Stop doing it anytime now. Here's my chance for some damage. Still not dead somehow. I don't understand the purpose of them running away. It just like kills the pacing. Like, just want to have fast-paced battles, not have to run after them. Probably almost dead though. Oh good, Venom Trap got him. Nice. Probably could have done a couple this move here. I don't know what it's called, but the stinger. Probably could have gotten it, but whatever. They've added a ton to this game. I'm kind of glad it took me so long to finish it, because by the time, if I stick with this game, which I probably will, the only other thing I really had planned this month was Tales of Vesperia, which a lot of that I may not even record. I might just play that off camera. I may even just transfer over to my Switch versions. That's another game I double dipped on because I play it when I'm on shift and stuff like that. By the time I start getting my character and build and gear and stuff to the point where I can actually do the new content, it will probably be out pretty soon. So it actually worked out. You know, a lot of people played the shit out of Dynasty Warriors 9 when it came out, and you know, they never really came back for all those other stuff that they added because they kept updating it every month for about a year and a half. The final patch was very recently. I'm glad I didn't get in that position. They still have at least 3 more updates planned, which is crazy. There's been about as much support for this as there has been for Dynasty Warriors 9. I don't think this game was as maligned as Dynasty Warriors 9, but a lot of people didn't like the changes that they made, and it also launched with a lot less content, and they seem adamant about not making a paid expansion, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, like I said. Is they're adding all this cool stuff, but nobody's really around to play it, and since it's free, and there aren't really many big God Eater content creators. There's BK Brent. I've been watching a lot of his stuff. I'll definitely be using him as a guideline for when or if I decide to take the game to the end, the end game. I already beat the game. There's not that many people to like really raise, you know, the flag about it. You know, something happens in like Monster Hunter, pretty much any other game. There's always somebody who can give people the news, someone who's widely respected in that community. You know, I do that with like Muso games and stuff. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of people who do that with Monster Hunter, but there's really only one guy I know of that's BK Brent for God Eater, so we'll see what happens. I am enjoying the end game. I am enjoying getting better at the game. A lot of my problem is I tend to rush in, and I don't really know the parry timings. I'm sure once I get to that point, I'll enjoy the game a lot more. Like I said, there's a lot of hidden mechanics in this. I feel like if they told you from the start that you could parry the Devour attacks, they would be a lot less annoying to deal with, because the problem is if you don't try to parry them, what will always happen is the AI will run straight into the attack, and the Ash Origami will always be in burst mode, which is really annoying to deal with. I do think that they do that attack far too often. I think that they should have some kind of cooldown. Apparently they reduced the frequency. I heard that from somebody. I don't know if that's just you know, hearsay or not, but they definitely spammed it excessively towards the end of my first playthrough, and I think it's kind of weird how they don't tell you that you can nullify it completely. But now that I know that, I think maybe I'll actually have fun fighting them. I thought they were kind of a cool gimmick in concept, but I guess it's just a kind of a I don't know the word for it. It's kind of a flawed way to try to bring the enemy's power up with the player, which is kind of weird because they like kind of basically reversed how the meta works in this game compared to the first two. I tried playing the last game, Resurrection and Rage Burst, and I just didn't get far in them because the enemies had too much health, and pretty much everything was just using the custom bullets, like using melee attacks weren't even viable at all. Here, pretty much everybody uses melee almost exclusively. They definitely nerfed them to the custom bullets to the point where they can like supplement your build, but you can't just completely just face roll with them, which I think is a good thing. I think it's more interesting to actually have to learn how to dodge the attacks and coordinate and things like that instead of just spamming the bullet. That's how I've been in every game. In terms of how much of this I'll record, I will probably be streaming the majority of this throughout this month because there's really not anything else coming out this month that I'm interested in that I haven't already bought. I don't know when the Orochi 4 Ultimate patch is going to be. Obviously, the new year just started. They're probably getting back. So maybe that will be towards the end of this month. When that does happen, I will be returning to that game. I'll try to finish that tower I started, probably later this week too. Thanks for watching.